The conflicts in Israel and Ukraine are becoming connected in many ways, and their main link is Russia, or more precisely, Russia's failed invasion of Ukraine. After a lot of unverified information, a clear evidence for direct Russian participation in the Hamas operation in Israel has finally appeared. This video shows Russian-speaking instructors within the Hamas terrorist organization, which gave orders and coordinated the actions of mercenaries during the attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023. The order in Russian, "Prikryvate, prikryvate, cover, cover," can be clearly heard from 12 seconds onwards.
Allahu Akbar!
Last March, a Palestinian delegation arrived in Moscow for talks with Russian officials. The delegation was from Hamas, the militant Palestinian group that's been labeled a terrorist organization by the United States and the European Union. The meeting, according to the Russian Foreign Ministry, touched on Russia's unchanged position in support of a just solution to the Palestinian problem. When considering the issue of restoring Palestinian national unity, the Russian side expressed its readiness to continue to assist in overcoming differences and bringing together the positions of leading Palestinian political forces and movements on the platform of the Palestine Liberation Organization. The ministry's readout said, Russia's ties to Hamas are well documented, as are its ties to Hamas's main backer, Iran. For some observers and commentators of the ongoing bloodshed in Israel, that in itself is cause for blaming Moscow, accusing it of having a direct hand in the spiraling violence. Russia's embrace of Iran has benefited Moscow in its war on Ukraine, with Tehran supplying kamikaze drones and other equipment to help Russian forces seeking to hold back a slow-moving Ukrainian counteroffensive. Russia is also set to benefit from the Israel-Hamas conflict, as Israel's requests for U.S. military aid risk diverting weapons and focus from Ukraine, while the rising price of oil bolsters Moscow's economy. U.S. and NATO allies have rebuffed concerns about their ability to continue supporting Ukraine militarily in the aftermath of Gaza-based militant group Hamas's attack on Israel, which already receives billions in aid from Washington every year. Yet there is a clear understanding in the Kremlin that the war between Israel and Hamas will work in Russia's favor, according to two people with knowledge of the situation, who asked not to be identified because of the sensitivity of the issue. The conflict may, at the very least, work to distract U.S. and European attention from the war in Ukraine, the people said, even while Russia has concerns about its escalation. And while we are at Israel, the Israeli army published footage showing troops of the Navy's elite Shayatet 13 commando unit retaking the Sufa military post on the Gaza border from Hamas terrorists on Saturday.
Yes. Tenes. אחי, אני איתך, באתי להציל אותך. יאללה, בוא, הכל בסדר. מה אתה צריך? טיפול ראשוני, יש מי שצריך משהו? תעלו אותו למעלה, עוד למעלה. ימינה!
Watch the moment. Runway of Damascus International Airport was bombed by Israel Air Force to not let two Iranian aircraft land today. The first aircraft was an Airbus A340-313 of Mahan Air, with commander of IRGC Quds Force on board, and the second was Iranian government Airbus A321-231, with Foreign Minister of Iranian regime, Amir Abdullahian on board. And after a series of demonstrations throughout Europe, the French Minister of the Interior, Gerald Darmanin, has ordered that pro-Palestinian demonstrations across the country be banned, and that anybody who participates in them will be arrested. And back to Ukraine. Russia has launched a major offensive on Avdiivka. One more defining battle of the war is underway. The video shows yet another attempt to move a large armored column of Russians from Krasnohorivka to cover the northern flank of the Avdiivka front. Approximately 20 units of equipment, tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, armored transport. Part of this column was destroyed, but the scale of the offensive is epic. Avdiivka is of strategic importance to Russia, as this city is actually the gateway to Donetsk, the main communication hub in the occupied territories. In order to establish a foothold in the occupied Donbas, Putin needs to move the front line away from Donetsk. In 2022, Russian troops launched an offensive against Avdiivka, trying to deeply encircle the city from both flanks. It was stopped due to heroic resistance of Ukrainians. The battle for Avdiivka will be more fierce than the battle for Vuhledar in winter. The presence of shielded buildings in Donetsk and Yasinovata facilitates covert actions, deployment of artillery in residential areas, and hidden operations of armored vehicles. Russia has concentrated significant aviation forces that use high-precision weapons, a large number of shells that could be supplied by North Korea and Iran. Russians are trying to create a great advantage in drones. Russian drones, along with artillery, are being used to hit the front lines, and the enemy is trying to open the way for their infantry and tanks to break through the combat formations of our troops, primarily using a large number of high-explosive munitions. The main attack is coming from the south of Avdiivka. Unlike the first offensive on Avdiivka, which lasted from July 2022 to March 2023, the current attack is planned to cover the city in a much shorter arc. However, the enemy is trying to avoid fighting in the urban areas and create a threat of encirclement for our troops in the city. The situation is very serious. A very heavy battle has begun. But Russians have huge losses in Avdiivka. During the day, Ukrainian Special Operation Forces destroyed 8 units of heavy equipment and dozens of invaders. 5 tanks, 1 BMP, 1 APC, 1 armored vehicle. Tiger, dozens of units of the enemy's manpower. And in Orikhiv axis, Ukraine forces thwart Russian offensive operations too. Russians' attacks at Kopani and Robotine are driven back with heavy losses. The Ukrainian General Staff reports that Russian losses in the last 24 hours include 990 casualties, 42 main battle tanks, 44 infantry fighting vehicles, and 32 artillery systems. And for the end, some FPV drone control skills. Attack on a Russian T-72B3M hidden in the hangar by the 92nd Brigade of Ukraine.
Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.